Welcome to another episode of High Voltage Diesel. Hang on to your armchairs and get ready to have a meltdown as you watch the new videos.
Today, we are working on the 73 Plymouth Duster barn find. I have to call it a barn find because anything that's considered a barn find is worth $10 million. So even though it was just a slant six regular car, making that it's a barn find, it makes it worth way more than any other Duster in the planet. So let's check out this gem, shall we? All right, I usually don't have this car on the channel very often because you guys don't have any interest in it. I don't get it. Every time I make a video with this, nobody likes to watch it. But I'm gonna make a video again and we'll see what you guys think. Leave in the comments. What do you want to see? What do you like? What don't you like? Are you gonna have an armchair meltdown? I want to know. I want to know your thoughts. I want to connect with the audience anyway. Check this out. This is show car stuff right here. I got the hole underneath of this thing painted lime green. Looks beautiful. You could eat off this, it's so clean. Check out these really big tires I got. So far I've done the mini tub kit. Anybody that knows anything about these, I got the spring relocation kit in here. I got the tires mocked up so I can measure what size axle I want. I don't have anything on the back yet. Just look at these tires. They look freaking sweet on this car. I love it. I love the way this looks. Just awesome. Really cool. I want the biggest tire that I could possibly fit in this wheel well. That is the goal here. And no, I am not going to do the dorky cuts that they do on these things. They look absolutely stupid when people do that. If you want to get a bigger tire in there and you want it to look nice, you cut it there and you stretch it that way and you move this whole entire thing forward. You don't just get your zip grinder and just bleh and make a stupid... It just looks so dumb when people do that. So no, before you comment and say, oh, you should just cut that front. Will not do it. I love the way that looks, how it goes straight up and comes back and then goes down at an angle. So that's how it's gonna stay. This is a 29-inch tall tire and it's 14.5 inches wide. And I did trim the inside a little bit, take a little bit off, so there is plenty of room. This is about the ride height that this tire is gonna be on here. So I got enough to get my hand in there, so that should be pretty good. But first, before I put everything together, I'm putting a 6-point roll cage in this. It took about 16 years for this to come in the mail, but it finally came in. So this is the main hoop. That's all I bought. So I'm going to be putting this in right about where these, they're not really B pillars, but you could call it a B pillar, and I'm going to put them in right about the same spot, that thing. And then there's going to be two going back on top of that axle hump there, and then there's going to be 2 bars coming down and going in there somewheres. What we have to do is put this roll cage in first, because the roll cage is going to get welded in, and then that's only one coat of paint that's on the bottom. I just wanted to get some paint on there just so it didn't rust. So I'm going to weld the roll cage in first, which is going to ruin parts of the paint underneath. And then, after that's done, I'm going to paint the roll cage and put the final coat of paint underneath the car. And that's when we're going to assemble the rear end. I did already narrow the rear end myself. I actually started making a video on that. And then the footage got lost, of course. So, unfortunately, you guys aren't going to see that. But I did it all myself. You will be seeing that rear end at some point. So, just stay and watch the video. I have the rest of the pipe I need to do the roll cage that I bought. Pipe, tubing, whatever you want to call it. 1 3/4 inch outside diameter. So yeah, and I got one of the seats that I'm going to put in here just so I can kind of mock everything up on how it's going to be. Since the last time you guys seen this car, I just been working little on it. I took all this out, painted it all, put the chrome back in, the stainless rather, before I get corrected by somebody. I got the trunk jamb, the underneath of the trunk all painted. Just try to get some work done around the back window. So she's getting there. I'm hoping by the end of this video, this thing should be on the, well, I probably won't have it on the ground. Maybe I will, but I'm hoping it'll be able to get on the ground and roll around because it's been on jack stands for a long time. I got some new stuff from, never bought from this place before, from Speedway Motors. I got some goodies here, so let's do an unboxing and see what we got. Alright, well my old man already opened this one to make sure it was what I ordered, because I haven't been here in a while to this shop. So, let's make this exciting. What do we got? Yeah, leaf spring sliders. You guessed it. Cool. So what this allows you to do, this is your original shackle. I'm just going off an example here. This car I want lowered so that tire sits up in the wheel well, and this here lowers the car about 3 inches more than what it would already be. So, and the leaf spring sliders are just, it just helps me a lot more with the spring relocation to get the spring inward as much as I can so I can fit the biggest tire under this thing I possibly can. These actually look like they're a lot bigger than what I was expecting. But this looks like it's really good quality. I did see in some of the reviews on this that you have to put these in a lathe, these bushings, and cut them down a little bit to fit inside your leaf spring, but we'll get to that when we get to that. First, we're going to start on the roll bar, but I figured I'd excite you guys with some unboxing. I mean, come on, guys. Don't you just love unboxing videos? Unboxing videos are awesome. It's like Christmas for the viewers. What we got in this box? Another box from Speedway Motors. Alright, we got some shock plates. And we got some U-bolts. Got 4 U-bolts and 2 shock plates. Do a quick measurement. Alright, 3 inches. The rear end I have for this is an 8 3/4 out of a B body that I narrowed. And that's 3-inch tubes, so that looks like what we need. So we'll revisit these later on in the video after we get the cage all done. And just one thing to start off before we get too deep into this video, I want to make perfectly clear to everybody before they start lighting up the keyboards and blowing the comments up on this, if I actually get a lot of views on this video. Okay, so this car will never, as long as I own it, which I plan on owning this forever, this car is never, ever, ever going to see a drag strip. This car is not going to have a 1,000-horse motor in it. It's not going to be, you know, it's this car, everything I'm doing on this is just for looks. It's not going to actually be raced. It's not going to be certified to be raced. It's just for looks, because personally, I love the way Dusters look with fat tires, roll cages, skinny front tires up front, and that's my preference. Yeah, it makes no sense if you're just going to drive it around and not bring it to the drag strip. I get it, but you know what? I've always wanted a Duster with fat tires underneath and a roll cage. I actually had a Duster back when I was a teenager, a purple one that had a roll cage and everything. It wasn't tub, but they had like 10-inch wide tires in the back. But, so, before anybody lights me up and is like, oh, you're not doing that right, and you're not, people, like, you're supposed to put the seat in. I know, like, a lot of these stupid things, you're supposed to put the seat in, and then you're supposed to put the main hoop in, and, like, the main hoop and the bar that goes across is supposed to be so far down from your neck, and, like, these bars are supposed to be so far down from your shoulders and all that garbage. And you're supposed to have certain thickness steel for certain size plates. Now I am going to weld plates in here because that's just the right way to do it. I am going to weld probably 3x3. I think actually you're supposed to use 4" by 4" plates for the certification for drag racing. But I don't care about any of that because this is just going to be for looks. However, I'm going to weld plates in it anyway because that's the right way to do it. So yes, I completely understand to everybody out there that's a drag racer and all that. I'm not doing this because I want to bring it to the drag races. And when you see what I did to narrow that rear end, you're going to say, oh, that axle shaft is just going to snap right in half the first time it hooks up on the drag strip. It's not going to hook up on the drag strip. This is going to be a grocery getter. This is going to be something I bring to shows every once in a while. I'm not going to bring this to the drag strip and hook up and run and try to, you know, just to me, to put this kind of work into a show car to bring it to a drag strip and take the chance in it getting smashed is completely asinine. It's just going to be a show car. Not that I care. I can care less what you haters out there think and all that, but just so everybody's clear on what my purpose is for this car, I figured I'd have that 3-minute conversation in the beginning before we even kick off. And so everyone so we're all on the same page here. So when you see something that doesn't make sense, just remember it doesn't make sense because this is all going to be for looks. It's going to be the way I want it to look. With that being said, for the millionth time, let's get to it. All right, well, it's about 3 hours later. I got the 4x4" squares cut. Got some approximate grindage. I got this thing in the car. I'm going off of some different pictures, and I've realized that I want it straight with this lip right here. This isn't exactly where it's going to be yet. This is just an idea. Alright, everybody knows what time it is. It's split freight time. Let's see what we could split this time. Check this thing out. Alright, I got this tubing notcher the other day from Split Freight, and I bought, this isn't a Split Freight, but I bought the best hole saw I could find. The teeth on it are really, really jagged. I don't like that for metal, but we're gonna try it. But this thing here was only $39. It was on sale. And typically when I do this, I just notch it with the grinder, but I really want this car done nice. So I've never tried this before. This thing is brand new out of the box, and I'm really curious to see how it's gonna work. This is somewhat decent size on this wall on this tubing. The tubing's kind of thick, so I'm really curious. Typically you'd have a nice drill press to do this, but the drill press in question that I have is this thing, and 2 of the 5 pulleys are completely burned off of it. You know, they make these junk things, they put these plastic pulleys on there, and then they slip enough times, and then eventually the pulley just melts in half. So I got the trusty old Cobalt we're gonna try it out on, so I'm really curious. Let's see if this thing works. Wow. No way. I gotta say, I am very impressed. Look at that. No way. This thing worked freaking awesome. I have never had one of these things before. I have always just notched it out with a grinder and it came out like crap. And I thought I'd splurge and spend $39 on myself. This thing here, this tool was like, I think almost $30. The drill doesn't have a ton of torque, but I have to say, this is probably gonna be hot. Woo. No way. I am super impressed. Wow. This thing paid itself off already. And the teeth on this are still sharp. I'm surprised because I was not thinking these really aggressive teeth were gonna, I figured those teeth were just gonna break right off. But they're still super sharp. I only need to make 6 cuts. I gotta make 2 that go that way, 2 for here, and then 1 on each side of that. So I only need to make 5 more cuts. So if this thing lasts 5 more times, that's all I need. That's great. Guys, I am wicked happy with this thing. I would totally recommend the split freight tubing notcher, 100%. And the spider something whatever, Ula. Carbide tipped spider. I would totally recommend this thing. We'll get back like 6 cuts later and see if this thing actually makes the cut. All right, we got our measurement here on the low side. We got our trusty old paint can to hold it up on. Got this straight, because this is going to be the piece that goes in between. Measured about 18 times, so hopefully I'm good. All right, this is going to be kind of more of a test because now I'm cutting all the way through 2 sides of the tubing, so. Alright, well it did really good on that one. One thing I can say is I would not recommend doing this. From now on, when I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the pipe about where it's got to be, and then I'm going to notch it just like I did this end piece. I'm not going to use this to completely cut the pipe. This tool's not so sharp anymore. That was really hard on that tool to cut the pipe with this. So from now on I would cut the pipe right there and then just do the one side. That way the tool's not working as hard. Yeah, I better take care of this because I got more cuts to make with it. I really don't want to have to buy a new one of these. Works great though. No complaints whatsoever. Does the job. Does the job. Excellent. Great. I love that tubing notcher. Look how nice that fits. Do some nice widths. Okay, so I'm gonna double check this measurement, and if I like it, I'm gonna burn this in, and then we'll get to putting this main hoop in the car. All right, well, it's about midnight, and I am calling it a night. It is like 15 degrees outside. Got the heater. It's actually really nice in here. Like, it's gotta be all of 65 or 70 in here. But anyway, who cares about that? What do we got done so far? Well, we got the main hoop tacked in. Everything has just been trial and error, and, well, not trial and error, but it's been just a constant, just fit, measure, fit, measure, fit, measure. Well, I have the 4x4 plates. I have this just tacked in. This thing is like perfectly, like within a 1/16 of an inch all the way around all the points. I have the piece we welded in, and I have the back struts done. These back struts here actually took most of the thinking over anything in this project, because originally, see, the Duster that I'm trying to replicate, as I was kind of saying before, they were that plug right there on top of the axle well, I guess you could call it. The roll bar, the struts were right behind that. Well, I have these two pieces that are 6 foot long, and I got them rigged up, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be a lot easier to put them back there. Plus, I'm going to have more strength further back, so you can see where the metal is ground right there. That's how far back they're going to go versus right there. And I just think, as far as looks go, since this is, I mean, this roll cage will actually work if the car, hopefully not, but if the car, you know, was ever involved in a wreck, this roll cage will definitely do something. But anyway, I'm more worried about strength of the car, because I'm not putting subframe connectors in this, just because for what I'm doing, it's just a waste of time, and I'm not going to put a, you know, the biggest motor I'm ever going to probably put in this, I mean, I know things change, it's probably like 350, 400 horse, something like that, and you don't need subframe connectors. But anyway, as far as strength goes, this going back further will strengthen the car a lot more than just going on top of the axle well. So that's what I decided to do. I'm going to use all of these 6 foot that I have and go back as far as I can, and as far as looks go, it'll give it that more sleek look rather than them just going down. It'll just look a lot better. You guys ever get sick of hearing me talk? I gotta say, when I edit these videos, I get just like sick of hearing my voice. It's like, man, it just seems like I'm rambling on and on and on. But anyway, yeah, so I mean, looking at it, you know, before the bars would kind of go down at this angle, and now they're going to be back like that. And I just think that aerodynamic, that's one of the reasons I like Dusters, is because I just love the way everything just kind of flows. Everything just kind of nice and round, and kind of, it's like melted almost. Everything just kind of melts together. It's one of the reasons why I like Dusters. Since we're on that subject, everybody thinks I'm a Mopar guy and a Chrysler guy, Dodge, whatever. I'm really not. I'm not an anything guy. Here's the thing. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. Actually, my next favorite car in the world, some car that the Duster's my favorite car, but the next favorite car is actually a 67 through 69 Camaro. So I'm not a Mopar guy. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I just happen to, a Duster is my favorite car. There's reasons for that, because when I was a kid, a guy my dad used to know, and he actually became my boss for a while. When I was a teenager, he had a Duster, and he used to come over with it all the time, and I'd be really excited, and I'm pretty sure that's how I discovered the Duster. And I just, ever since then, I liked them. It's always been my favorite kind of car. So here's my 6-inch by 4-inch plate. I got ground. I got these angled. Luckily, see, the biggest thing was the filler neck. I don't think I have the filler neck here, but it doesn't matter. I can modify that. Luckily, this is what you call, I believe this was called a space duster. This had the fold down back seat. And normally, the filler necks just go at a straight line, but this one here actually comes down and almost goes flat with the floor. So it's really perfect because it should, I mean, if I got to modify the filler neck, like that's like baby stuff compared to what we're doing here. But the filler neck should go under this. I'll have to look. I don't think I have it. I might. There's a good chance I might not be able to get the damn thing in. But even if I got to cut it and just splice it together with a nice piece of rubber hose or something afterwards, it's no big deal. But this will definitely give me better strength coming back further. And I just think it looks better overall. Honestly, I'm not really sure if I want to put the ones in the front here. I probably will end up doing it. But I kind of like it without them. I like the way it looks with it in there, and I know it'll strengthen the car better. But I am getting older, and crawling over that stuff does kind of get old after a while. So I'm really not sure what I'm going to decide to do. But I'm just kind of make that decision tomorrow. Here's what it looks like without the wheel in there. Yeah, I know I did a sloppy job on a show car. I put the spring relocation kit in and I didn't even trim it. You know what? The way I look at it is this is more about strength. Again, yeah, I know I'm not putting a 1,000,000 horse motor in this, but to me, leaving this the way it is stronger than cutting that. And it gives me more of, you know, I don't know, who knows what you're gonna end up doing in the future. This gives me more of an option to move the spring, and, you know, not that it's gonna come back here, but it just gives me more of an option and more space to change stuff, and I kind of think it looks cool, actually. So that's the way I'm gonna leave it. I really like the way it looks, and you're never gonna really see that anyway. So, you know, all this roll cage stuff, this should have been done before any paint got put on, but I love this color and I couldn't wait. But anyway, I got this trunk jam painted immaculate, and I took a bunch of cardboard and duct tape, and hopefully no sparks are gonna get on this when I'm welding. That's just the price you pay. Like I said, this should have been done way before. And the sad part about it is I always actually planned on putting a roll cage in this. So I really should have done this before, but you know, this is a budget build. You know, I do things as I get the money. And I didn't have the money for the roll cage when I painted this, and I just wanted to make some forward progress and get some stuff done. And that's what I decided to do, and you know what? It's just that much less I'll have to do in the future. Now, hopefully no sparks will get on it and burn it up, but I am going to go to sleep because I am freaking beat, and we'll probably see you guys first thing tomorrow morning at the 73 Duster. Good morning, everybody. It is like 9:30 in the morning. Super early. Oh yeah, I know. I start real early. Yeah, so we're back at the Duster. That's right. It was only like 2 seconds for you. You didn't forget anything. Yeah, I got a pretty snowy morning up here in upstate New York. Not too bad, only a couple inches. Can't complain. Alright, so what did we get done? Alright, so I came out this morning, I did some measuring and mocking up and stuff like that, and I think I got the plan figured out here. So the look I'm going for, I want to be able to see these bars from the back window. I mean, obviously you'd be able to see them from the back window no matter what, but I want them to be somewhat close together. But I still want them to be over top of the frame rail. These plugs right here are exactly in the center of the frame for the unibody of the car. But putting them over more, as you can see, the plates are to the left. These spot welds right here are the edges of the frame, so the frame's right here. The bar's gonna go in here, and the reason for that is because when you come up here and look at this bar, you can see that where the pipe is already is right on the bend, right where it starts to straighten out. So if I go over any further this way, I'm going to be on this bend, and I really don't want to do that just because it complicates things, and I like these bars when they're closer in together. I actually wish I could get them a little closer, but I'm happy with what I have so far. So what I did is I measured from this point on the car to the other side, got exactly half. which was I think 23 1/4. And then the bars, I don't want to go in anymore because then I'll be in the spare tire well. The inside to the inside of the bars are 31 inches apart, so that means I need 15.5 inches from center to each side, and that gives me 31 inches inside to inside on the tubes. And then I did same thing down here. I actually used this bead roll right here for a reference. Got my plates just tacked in case I have to cut anything off. You don't ever want to weld anything on until you're 100% done, satisfied with what you have. But right here I did the same thing, and it actually worked out perfect. It was 3/4 of an inch from the end of this plate. So right there, that's exactly where this one would be, right on that plate. The plate is 6 inches by 4 inches. So I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. You know, your measurements on a lot of this stuff don't matter too, so you have to keep that in mind. Just because you measure properly doesn't mean it's going to be straight, because these cars from factory are kind of just thrown together and they're not really always 100% straight. So a lot of times you'll measure something and it won't look right, and then you'll just have to stand back and eyeball it before you weld anything. This stuff takes hours. If you want to do a nice job on something like this, you don't expect to do it in just a day. You want to spend hours, you know. You just want to, like this has been sitting up here for probably an hour just on that magnet. You know, we're already a day into this project and this is all I got done. I really want this thing to be nice. So I'm going to take my time, because the last thing I want to do is get this car outside and then stand back and see that these bars are a little off kilter or something's weird, which, you know, building a car in a small garage like this is always a pain in the ass because you don't actually have room to sit back and look at anything, so you just have to use your judgment. You know, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff like this. We've chopped cars and built a lot of custom builds in the past. So I mean, this is child's play really for what it is, but still, a lot of times that's the best reference you can use, is just go on the internet and look at tons and tons of pictures. I mean, this tub process and this roll cage thing has been in the making for years. I've been going to car shows and looking at all different kinds of dusters and A-bodies and seeing what other people did. And then finally, when it was time for me to do it, I kind of already knew what to do, you know. So I'm gonna get tacking all this stuff in and take another hour to make sure it looks good. But I'm super happy with it the way it's coming out so far. It's crazy how plans changed. Originally, these bars were just gonna go down here on top of the rear end well, or whatever you want to call it. And then I decided at the last minute that I like the way this looks better. It just gives it more of a sleek look when you look in there. Just everything's more flowing instead of just like bobbed. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the package shelf. Part of the reason was I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks when roll cages go through the packing shelf. I like it when they go through like the back seat area. But this car here was the fold down back seat, so you can see the packing shelf is kind of curved. So that actually gives me options to kind of customize something in there with the interior down the road. So I still can actually make it go through like the seat area, if you will. So there's definitely options available. Well, we're just gonna go around and do some checks here so we can make sure we're good. So we'll just kind of get our square and look at stuff. Pretty darn good there. You know, if you're off on these things a little bit, it's not a big deal. The biggest thing is you want to make sure you're kind of off the same on both sides if you are off. So we are off square just a little bit, but it's actually the same. Which what I did, so it makes sense, what I did is these are 30, what I ended up doing between the last shot and this one, these are 30.5 inches because I just wanted these in just a little bit, and those apart down there are about 31.25 inches. So that means they widen a little bit just to get it a little bit more so it's occupying more of that plate and it's not all the way to one side. But you'll never notice. I mean, all in all, it's only a 1/2 inch difference from that side to this side, which means it's a 1/4 inch per bar. You're never going to notice, especially with all the different curves of this car and everything. Another trick that I kind of came up with myself that I like to use, I don't know, I kind of call it the parallel trick, or whatever you want to call it. I'll kind of stand back and I'll look at one bar, and I do this for like pole barns and like anything that you want straight, and just kind of move up, move like perpendicular to the other one, and just kind of eyeball both sides and slowly move up and see if it kind of disappears at the same time. It's kind of like a home experiment. It's like you're making your own eclipse. You just pretend the closer one is the moon and the further away one is the sun. Yeah, that's what we'll do, guys. We'll call this the eclipse. The eclipse eye test. But yeah, just kind of make sure they both disappear about the same time. Or you can go the other way. Go the other way, and when you start to see light through them, kind of see if they look parallel. Also, just kind of find like similar points. So for example, I have this right here, this thing where the stainless comes together. So I'm going to hold the top of my tape measure roughly about where that is. And then I'm going to go on this inner body line right here. And it looks like I got about 8 3/4 or so. It doesn't look like that on the camera because you're at a different angle. It's about 8 3/4. We're gonna go again. We got this point of reference here that's not super accurate, but for what we're doing, it's accurate enough. Hold the tape measure about there, and again we have 8 3/4. I'm able to get a better angle on this one because this I don't have the quarter glass frame in this side. All right. We got some pretty good welds with a MIG welder. I was able to everything welded up pretty good. They're not the best welds in the world, but they look pretty good when you hit them with the grinder a little bit, wire brush. They'll look good. I was able to get all the way around. I don't know, so many people say that when you put these roll cages in, you gotta cut a hole in the floor and drop it down, and I got up on top no problem. I got all the way around, and I got a piece of crap $700 welder, so I don't know what the excuse is. This weld here came out great on this back piece, but we won't look at this one. I don't know what the heck happened. Something, I just couldn't seem to get the stupid thing to flow. I don't know. Weird. Sometimes it's weird with welders. Sometimes they weld really good and sometimes they don't. But this one here came out great. Yeah, I can go over this with another pass, but it's in there good. I'm just gonna grind it a little bit. I'll put some chip guard over it like I did on the wheel wells. make it look good. Again, this is for show. I understand when you drag race, they need to actually see the welds and stuff, but I'm not going to drag race. So it's in there, you know, it's welded in there very well. And it definitely isn't going anywhere. This side came out good. But yeah, this is why I didn't finish painting the underside of this yet, because you could see that definitely ruined that. So after the cage is completely done, which I am still kind of contemplating whether I want to put the front struts in or not. I mean, the looks are there with this, but man, the only reason I want to is because, man, it would really strengthen the car up, you know, just that much more. And I have the pipe to do it, but it ain't no big deal. But man, I tell you, it's the older I get. I mean, I could always cut it out if I don't want it. So I think I'm leaning towards putting both of them in, and then if I don't like them in the future, I could just cut them out. They're not that hard. You know, it'll be pretty easy to cut and grind off and kind of patch it up. But I think I'm going to. But I still haven't made that decision yet, so. Yeah, so our spider hole saw only made 4.5 cuts. And it completely just went to crap. So that's, I mean, with the really aggressive teeth on this, I actually didn't expect it to last as long as it did, rather. So, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with how long it lasted cutting through, you know, really thick steel like this. So, I mean, if you were to buy this to cut through wood and maybe hit a nail every now and then, I think this would last a lifetime. But to cut through, if you're looking for something that's going to get the job done once, yeah. But to cut through roll cage steel, I would probably try to find something with some finer teeth on it. Luckily, I have this, when this crapped out on me, I had this other one, this Irwin, I think it is. And this is a metal one too, but the teeth are finer on it. And this is slightly bigger, but it was at least there to at least give me a, it made me able to finish my cut that this didn't, so. But it got the job done so far. If I decide to put these struts in, I only have to make 2 more cuts, and I'm sure this one here will at least make 2 more cuts. Well, it's been about 3 hours since this piece. I kind of did a half-ass fabrication on this strut here and just kind of started making a plate. And I just threw one little tack on it right there to hold it in. I think I'm gonna, this was totally my plan, was to do this at first. But now that I'm kind of seeing it and everything, there's no reason to have this in here. It just, it looks cool and it strengthens the body, but I don't need strength on the body because I'm not putting a huge motor in here. I'm not racing the car. So I think this bar ultimately, the decision, ultimately this bar is going to be more of a pain in the ass than it's worth. Really, the only thing is it looks cool. I think it really looks good like that. I think it looks really cool, but I think climbing in and out of this, my purple Duster once again had this, but it was up here more. And I remember getting in and out of that was a pain in the ass. I remember every time I went to turn the wheel, my elbow would always hit it. And it was just completely useless for, you know, for what I was doing. So I think I'm gonna not put this bar in and just leave what I have, because as far as the looks go with the car done and the door on, you're not going to see that anyway. The only time you're going to see that is if the door is open. And climbing in over this for the millionth time, I think is just going to get old. So I think that's going to be the ultimate decision. Progress update. Well, we got her all masked off. As I said before, this should have been done before I put any color on, but it is what it is. So I had the tape off where I painted. I've been contemplating whether I want to paint the roll cage like a silver or charcoal, or if I want to paint it green. I've decided that silver or charcoal, depending on what I have in the pile, will be a better option. I think it'll look better. The green would look cool. Black would look cool, but black's too common. Green would look cool, but I think as far as detail goes, I think the silver or charcoal color will look better. So I got her all etch primed. I love this SEM self-etching primer. Works great for everything. I got it all masked off around here good. The bottom of the trunk, just with some crap that I found just to keep the overspray off of stuff, because that would really suck to get overspray on something that's already done. Got around the windshield, the window lip there. So we're all set to go. So I just like the undercoating or chip guard. You can get either one. Number one, you know what, I ain't perfect, so I'm not afraid to be like, yeah, I got some booger welds right here. You know what, it is what it is. We've all had stuff like that happen. You know, I don't know what happened here, but it's weird because I just could not seem to get that to weld good. But the chip guard or undercoating will make this look pretty good, and it'll kind of give it like a factory look. And that's what I did here, is I put paintable undercoating on the wheel tubs, because right there is a seam, you know, and it just makes it look nice. So I'm gonna do that, kind of spray it up a little bit, you know, kind of make it look natural, and then that'll hide the booger welds a little bit. It'll just make things look a little nicer back here. I'll do a couple coats on it just like that, just kind of feather it up just a little bit. And it's already hiding the welds and making them look good. Alright. This thing is all painted and clear coated. Clear is just about dry, cleared about an hour. I mean, it's dry, but not dry enough to do anything with, but it came out really nice. I actually added some darker silver in with the silver and kind of made it like a silver / charcoal color, because I wanted it a little darker. I didn't want it like bright silver. I thought it looked better dull. I clear coated it simply for protection. You know, that way it'll hold up a little bit better, but I think either way it looks absolutely amazing. And once I'm done with everything, you know, once I'm done with all the green and the silver and all that crap, I'm gonna tape the bar. This is way down the road. I'm gonna tape the bars off, and I'm gonna just get some trim black and just go over everything with black in here, just to make it look, you know, all this overspray. I'm just gonna detail it up nice, but all this dirty work has to get done first. I'm pretty happy with the way this roll cage came out. And I decided that I'm going to make a 2-part video out of this. So the roll cage installation is going to be part 1. And then when I get to putting the axle in the car, I'll make a part 2 video. So let me know what you guys think about how it looks and how everything got done. Tell me if you had an armchair meltdown. And if so, we will see you in the next video.